All right, so today we're going to do something a little different. We're not looking back at a past election. Nope. We're jumping into the future, exploring a really fascinating hypothetical. We're going to use some data to paint a picture of what Nepal's federal parliament election could actually look like in the year 2082. And really, that's the big question driving this whole thing, right? What could that future election even look like? Well, let me tell you, if this data is anything to go by, the answer points to a political landscape that is, well, it's completely different from anything we have ever seen before. So let's get right into it. The data doesn't just hint at a trend, it points to one single massive story. We're talking about a political landslide so huge, it would totally reshape the nation's parliament and, frankly, upend the entire traditional balance of power. Okay, look at this number 125. Just let that sink in for a second. In Nepal's 275-seat parliament, winning 125 seats isn't just a victory, that is an absolutely commanding majority. So the million-dollar question is, who pulled it off? Well, the party at the very center of this political earthquake is the Rastriya Swatantra Party, or SRP. You'll recognize them by their bell symbol. And in this hypothetical scenario, they don't just win. They pull off an absolutely incredible 125-seat majority. And this chart really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? Just look at the sheer scale of that win. The RSP's bar, with 125 seats, just towers over the others. The Nepali Congress, they're way down there with just 18 seats. And the CPN-UML, only 9. This isn't just winning an election. It's a complete and total political realignment. Now, a surge like this, it just doesn't happen in a vacuum, you know? For one party to rise this high, this fast, well, it means others have to fall. And what we see in this scenario is a seismic shock for Nepal's traditional, established political parties. I mean, for decades, you've had parties like the Nepali Congress with their tree symbol and the CPN-UML with their sun symbol. These have been the main players in Nepali politics, right? They've basically been the pillars of the establishment for a long, long time. But these results, they just blow up that old system and create a completely new pecking order. You've got the RSP right at the top, and suddenly the Nepali Congress is knocked down to just 18 seats, with the CPN-UML at 9. For the old guard, this isn't just a loss, it's a total redefinition of their entire place in the political hierarchy. Okay, so that's the big national picture. But you know, a national story like this is really made up of dozens of smaller, local stories. So to really truly get what's going on with this wave of change, we've got to zoom in and look at how it played out in some key individual races on the ground. All right, let's start in Lalitpur 3. Here, the RSP's Tosima Karki wins, and she wins big with a massive 43,096 votes. A margin of victory like that, wow. That's not just a win, it's a powerful, super decisive mandate from the voters right there at the local level. And that momentum just keeps rolling right into the capital. Over in Kathmandu 3, another RSP candidate, Rajunath Pandey, secures a really comfortable win with over 18,000 votes. This shows you that the party's appeal in this scenario is super strong in those key urban centers. But hang on. It would be a huge mistake to think this whole shift is just about one party rising. The data seems to be telling us something much broader is going on. You know, the real story here might just be the desire for change itself, no matter who's delivering it. And there is absolutely no better example of this than what happened in the constituency of Mayagdi 1. Because here, it wasn't the RSP who won. Nope. A really powerful independent candidate, Mahavir Pan, completely swept the race. And look at that number. He did it with an incredible 22,850 votes. A victory like this, for an independent, it shows that the voters' appetite for new options goes way beyond just new parties. It signals a potential move away from traditional party line voting altogether. Okay, so we've looked at the big national picture. We've zoomed in on individual races. What's the takeaway from all of this? What does this data really suggest about a potential new political landscape for Nepal? All right, let's wrap it up. Here's what it boils down to. First, you have a new political force, the RSP, coming basically out of nowhere to a position of absolute dominance. Second, the old established parties are facing a massive, maybe even existential challenge to their power. But here's the most crucial point.
Voters are signaling this incredibly powerful desire for change across the board. They're backing not just new parties, but strong independent candidates, too.
And all of that leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. Now remember, this is all a hypothetical scenario, but it forces us to ask a really deep question, doesn't it? What does it truly mean for the health and future of a democracy when its voters signal that they are ready for such a sudden, such a radical transformation?